here are my 10 rules for lawsuit avoidance that I'll just touch on at the very end here is document, document, and document some more. My rule of thumb is if something's not in writing, it never happened. Absolutely, positively, you have to document everything. I'm not saying you have to give somebody a counseling every time they make a mistake. What you do need to do, though, is make sure you document it and put it in their personnel file, because if you don't, it never happened. Because these cases oftentimes take years before they ever come to fruition or go to trial, so you need to make sure it's documented. The second thing is watch what you say and you write. It can be used against you. Basically, don't put anything in writing or don't say anything about that you won't later regret. I have way too many cases about people fired off a quick email or forward off, some picture of, some provocative female or something like that. They later go to regret. Also, with the electronic world, you cannot see somebody's facial expression or hear the tone of voice. You don't know what tone somebody's saying something. So if you think it's a joke, what you're saying, or sarcastic, the recipient may not realize that. So be very, very careful. Also, I don't know much about computers other than to tell you it's just because you think you deleted something, you didn't. Once you put something in writing, even if it's just a text message or an IM, very well these things can be recovered. So be careful about what you write and put in paper. Third rule, be consistent and uniform to the extent possible. Employers lose very few cases where they've been consistent. Next, resolve complaints before they become a big problem. I have a lot of people say, well, Jane complained that she got asked out twice on a date by her coworker. Is that sexual harassment? Well, the answer to that question is it's the wrong question to ask. Don't you want to stop something before it becomes sexual harassment? So be very, very careful about following up on complaints. You can't just say, well, this is gossip, so I don't have to investigate it. Be very proactive in that regard. Make sure you train and educate on your supervisors on their legal responsibilities. If you're not currently doing harassment, discrimination, and management training for your employers, your supervisors, I highly recommend you do it. If you can't do it internally, I do quite a bit of it, and there's some other good services out there. I think it's one of the most important things you can do. Next, apply the standards of just cause and fairness. Nobody comes to their lawyer to be their moral compass, but just make sure you're consistent in the way in which you apply things. Next, get advice for the tough cases. I guess that could be couched as me shilling for business. The reality is a lot of employers don't want to deal with something until it becomes a full-blown disaster. While I'm happy to help you if your house is already on fire, I much prefer to tell you not to leave your Christmas lights on all night long. And what I mean by that is employers who reach out to me frequently and have me help them resolve things or turn to some trusted resource in doing that, they're normally cruddy clients. And what I mean by cruddy clients is that means I don't get to bill them much. So do your best to be proactive. Don't just wait and put your head in the sand and hope nothing will ever come of it, because you only have to be wrong once and you could be looking at a monstrous legal bill. Next, be patient. Don't be an employer that flies off the handle. Try not to make decisions right away. Think about something. I oftentimes, I'm in a very contentious business. I can't tell you how many times I've written a letter to an opposing lawyer. Then I walk away, come back, print it out, put it in my desk drawer, and then write something else. And the reality is because, sometimes you're angry and you want to make a split decision or tell somebody where to go, where to stick it. Don't do that. Be very, very consistent and patient in your decisions. Don't change the reasons for discharge. This comes to termination or any sort of disciplinary action. Make sure you tell them why they're being let go and just don't try to sugarcoat it for them. You have to be honest. And finally, utilize progressive discipline. Give them, a couple of shots at it, and make sure they understand why you're taking the action you're taking. Well, I know we only had a short time together, and sometimes these webinars can be tough to have a real interactive conversation about a lot of issues, and I know I threw a lot of things at you in a short period of time. Again, my contact information is, my phone number is 813-261-7840. And my email address is taidman, Taidman, @Ford, F-O-R-D, Harrison, Harrison.com, just spelled backwards the actor's name. If you want a copy of the PowerPoint presentation or you have any questions you'd like to ask, feel free to reach out to me after this presentation, and I'd be happy to answer those just sort of pro bono today. Once again, thank you to the folks at Primary Executive Solutions for having me, and wish all of y'all the best of luck.
Todd, this is Tina. Thank you so much. You covered so many subjects in a really nice way, and thank you for making these slides available. I do have one question for you in regards to the discrimination in terms of religious hair, tattoos, piercing. Is that public employees only, or does that legislation apply to private employers as well?
Private employers. I didn't really even get into public employers today because, we obviously for public employers it is much more difficult to fire somebody because you have to go through due process, et cetera, et cetera. For private employers, it's the same. It is the same. You've got to look at, whether or not they have a bona fide genuine belief, and that, you're accommodating them if necessary.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much again, and we look forward to next month's presentation on HR trends going forward. Thanks again for following up. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to